What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today I want to bring you guys another tier list video because I know you love them all so much. But today we're not necessarily ranking the characters in terms of their strength per se. Today's tier list is ranking characters based on who the biggest winners and the losers are of the Tekken 8 1.05 patch that just released. Now, keep in mind, this just released. There are so many new things to discover and explore and experiment with. So this is not definitive. Obviously, all tier lists are subjective, but this is just my own personal opinion based off of first impressions. This is a first impressions biggest winners and losers tier list, and I might come back to this in a few months and then update it and talk about it, and we'll see how things shaped up. But basically, this was a pretty huge patch. There were changes to not only characters across the board, but also the game itself, system mechanics, heat burst, heat dash, throws. Everything got a lot of tweaks in this game, and that directly affects some characters more than others. So with that being said, I think it's first things first, we're gonna go ahead and rename these tiers, and the first one will be we'll name this first one Jackpot. Those are the characters who hit the lottery in this patch, and we'll call this tier the winners. This tier will be Meh. Then we have Losers. Then we have the Bankrupts tier. So with that, let's go ahead and get into this, and we'll just go in order of the way the characters are listed here. This is typically how I do things. And so first off, we have Jack, who I'm gonna go ahead and say he goes in the Meh tier. He got some buffs. I think Jack is a character that they really want to be a grappler in this game, and that's very evident by the fact that they nerfed throws, so throws don't have as much. Regular throws are now homing, but command throws don't have tracking. But they gave his throws more range, so that it's not obsolete because it's such an essential part of his kit. And he got some other buffs as well, like some changes like Gamma Howl 3 and things like that. But I don't know if those are like super significant in comparison to some of the other changes that other characters got. I think Jack is in an okay spot. He didn't really lose too much, he didn't really gain too much, so we're just gonna go ahead and throw him in the Meh tier. Then we have Jin, who technically he lost a little bit, but I honestly think that considering he lost so little, he's just in the Meh tier. Maybe we instead of Meh, we call this relatively the same, because Jin basically, like, his heat smash is a little bit more steppable, which fine, that's fair, and then his demon paw got nerfed. It's less pushback and whatnot, but that's really not a huge deal. And I think they changed the hitbox on it just a tiny little bit as well, but like it just falls in line with how it looks, so how it kind of should have been. I think Jin's basically in the same spot as he was before. Well, maybe he might have shifted a little bit because maybe some characters moved above him. We'll talk about it, but I think Jin is relatively the same, all things considered. Jun Kazama, big winner this patch. Not quite Jackpot, I would say, but she got a ton of buffs. She's eating pretty good. They completely reworked this character and her design. She got a lot of nerfs in the last patch, and in this patch they gave her a lot of buffs, a lot of moves that give her more healing, damage changes and whatnot. They changed a lot of the chip stuff, but that's because she's healing her own life back and everything. So I think Jin is a character who will continue to creep back up the tier list as time goes on. For now, I'm confident putting her in winners. Same thing goes for Kazuya. Kazuya got a decent amount of buffs in this patch. The most interesting change being that crouch dash 1+2, which I'm seeing players start to experiment with and realizing and learning how to implement that into their play, giving him more mix-up options, giving him better pressure, something you can do from neutral. It's funny because like they nerfed his demon paw, which is, they did that with all the Mishimas, so Kazuya, Jin, Devil Jin, and Reina. But then they gave him crouch dash 1+2, which is also an advancing mid that's now also plus on block and leaves you closer to the opponent for mix up or more pressure. So I'd say Kazuya's doing pretty damn good. Then we have King, who I'm tempted to put in relatively the same or winners. I kind of want to put him in winners, but here's the thing. I've seen a tweet from Little Majin going around where he said that the change to King's wave dash is actually a nerf because now he loses the crouching status. And also, obviously, throws in this game were changed so that they're no longer tracking unless it's a regular throw. But with King, he does have a bunch of throws that are, chain throws and everything that actually do still have their homing properties. On top of that, you can wave dash, which realigns you with your opponent. So for him, I wouldn't really say that he was nerfed as hard by the system mechanic as you might originally think, or as some other characters were, because he has other throws that do still track and home, and because he can wave dash. The thing is as well, the wave dash is easier and more accessible for a lot of players. And I also saw another tweet, and I'm not a King player and I could not do the old wave dash. I could do the current wave dash because I can do it. Well, if I'm playing on my leverless, I can. Knocked over my bottle. But I saw a tweet that said you can still do the original wave dash as well. I don't know if that's true, and obviously I'm not a King expert, but he got some substantial buffs, I would say. He's got the forward 2 buff, which I think is crazy. I've had some King players tell me, oh, but it's so slow. Come on, dog. It's a plus on block. It's +7 on block advancing mid that you can do from wave dash. It's +12 on hit. It makes it that you can't sidestep his throw and forces the mix up. Like, that is a very good move. I've also seen some people saying, oh, like Kazuya, his crouch dash 1+2 is also throws. Like, Are we serious? Because first of all, you really shouldn't be doing it in somebody's face anyway. You should be doing it in your approach, in neutral, from a distance or out of wave dash. In that sense, it doesn't matter if it's slow. You know, it's a big deal, big deal. It's a really good move. King got a couple of nerfs here or there. I think he's still going to be a very, very strong character. And overall, I would say he's buff. I would say he's a winner in this patch because frankly, he's probably a character that should have been nerfed a lot harder, which just makes it that much more of a winner, the fact that he didn't. Lars is relatively the same. Didn't really get a whole lot of changes, not a whole lot to talk about. Law is also relatively the same. I've seen Law players saying that they nerfed some of his strings and that they're a little bit worse now, but I think Law was overall a pretty underrated, underexplored character that I think has a lot of potential. You could say that about a few characters, I guess, but I still think that we're in early stages of this game, right? The game's, it's in its first year and there's just so much left to explore and learn and experiment with. And we're going to see a lot of that now that this is the final major patch that the game is getting. But I think characters like Law, like Leo, we've already been seeing it with Shaheen. And if you've been around, I've been saying this about Shaheen. We're going to see characters like these start creeping up more and more because of how strong they are. Maybe Shaheen might fall back a little bit because he did catch some nerfs, but yeah, Law is a character that I think is going to be just fine. Paul, honestly, we might have to make a whole new tier for him. To be honest, we're gonna have to add a row above, make this a whole different color. I'm not gonna lie, dog, this is nuts. Okay, I don't know what they were thinking with the Paul buffs, but yeah, the change to forward 1+2, the ability to charge it, the plus frames, the chip damage. He already was a character that did a lot of damage. It can mix you up, and he now does even more damage. The change to forward 2, the heat engager, the 13, it's a 13 frame like launcher now and heat, and it's just, they gave this character so much juice when he was already good. Paul was already good. Like, Paul players were not asking for any of these buffs that they got. They are welcoming them with open arms, as anybody would if their main got buffed to the heavens, right? But even the Paul players glaciating, shout out him, he's on Twitter laughing like, I can't believe they did this. This is insane. This is nuts. The Paul players are literally in disbelief at the fact that their character got so much attention because, like, he didn't need it. Like, he wasn't top tier, but he was cool. He was cool. That's another character that, like, I felt like with time people were like, oh shit, Paul's actually pretty good because he was kind of underexplored. Now you'll see a lot more of him because I guess they wanted him to be the best character in the game for some reason. So yeah, Paul gets his own tier. Then we have Nina, who I'm gonna put in winners. It's not that she got buffed, but she didn't really get nerfed. So technically she's relatively the same, but like, so I guess by my own wording, I should put her here, but she was really, really good. And she's still really, really good. I wouldn't be surprised to see more players picking her up because she was already probably a top 5 character, and she's probably still a top 5 character, whereas some other characters got nerfed or got switched around or whatever. But yeah, she's on that same tier as like Alyssa, where it's like, hey man, this character's kind of ridiculous and they didn't get changed. So while she is relatively the same, I would overall still call her a winner of the patch, so that there's the context in that. So if you're somebody who skips to the end of this tier list and doesn't hear the conversation about her, you might be confused why I'm putting her in winners, even though she's relatively the same. But I'm going to break my own little rules and bend it a little bit here just for that sake. With the context, she is a winner because the fact that she did not get toned down and got away with another slap on the wrist is kind of crazy to me. That makes her a winner in my opinion. Xiao Yu is relatively the same. You could say the exact same thing for Xiao Yu. I was never one of the people clamoring for Xiao Yu nerfs. I do think she is pretty ridiculous, but I guess by the logic that I just used, right? Maybe I should. Okay, if I'm going to use that kind of logic I did for Nina, it has to apply to Xiao Yu as well. So they both got to go in the same tier. So now it's up to, do I want them to be in winners or relatively the same? What if we make one more tier? What if we make one more tier, add a row above, we call it didn't get nerfed? And we could put Xiao Yu and Nina there. I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. Now I feel like I have too many tiers, but it is what it is. It's my video. I do what I want. All right, so moving on, we have Asuka, who I would say is the winner overall. I think she only got buffs in this patch. She got some changes to 442. She had some delay on her strings, got a little bit of extra damage. Asuka got buffed in the last patch. She got buffed in this patch. Asuka players, hopefully you're feeling pretty good. Leroy is relatively the same, I would say. I wouldn't say his changes were drastic. They changed it so that his cane, if it gets interrupted, that doesn't take up the entire use for it, and you can still use it again or try to use it again. He did get some slight changes. The thing is that he got a lot of buffs in the last patch. They didn't really touch him too much. So I'm going to go ahead and leave him in relatively the same. Then we have Lily, who obviously got a decent amount of nerfs. I think she's still going to be okay overall. But yeah, she's still going to be fine because she was in that top 5 conversation. But they changed some of her mix-up stuff. They made her offense a lot less potent. And I won't be surprised if some of the people that were experimenting, exploring with her, end up dropping her. Chicken, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up somebody else. I've already seen FeedX basically confirm that he's dropping her. So yeah, Lily definitely loses this patch. Then we have Huarong. You know what, man? Actually, y'all can say whatever y'all want. I've already seen how y'all act in the comments. I don't care what you say, Hwoarang was not a top tier character. He was not top 5. He was not top 10. He was not top 15. He may not have even been top 20. If you're trying to tell me you think Hwoarang was a top 15 character, that tells me everything I need to know about you as a Tekken player. You don't know what you're talking about, okay? You're just wrong. This character was mid-tier at best, and they nerfed him. Characters who were way better than him got slaps on the wrist, or potentially even got buffed. Characters who were worse than him got buffed. I don't understand it. The hatred for such a weak character is something I've never seen before. I've never seen anything like it. Y'all can cry and bitch and moan all you want about you're carried, he's scrubby, he's spammy. First of all, if you're talking about spamming in a fighting game, again, that tells me everything I need to know. You're not a fighting game player. You're a crybaby, okay? Second of all, nobody is winning with this character. He's not dominating the statistics online. He's highly used. It's not like he's winning all the time. Not dominating in tournaments. He got nerfed harder than characters who were better than him. It doesn't make sense. Not gonna rant about it here, but that's my piece. Literally nerfed for no reason. Claudio's a winner. The change, that new strong aerial tailspin he has is definitely going to beef up his combos. Azucena is also a pretty big winner. She got a lot of new transitions into her Libertador and back turn stances, and also got some buffs to those moves, which again makes her a lot more interesting, a lot more unique, makes her more of Azucena than she was just the overpowered character who just did running 3-2 and down forward 1-4. Yeah, she's actually a much more fun character to watch and play, in my opinion. Raven is relatively the same, but I would say he's the winner. The Raven players seem pretty happy. It seems like the life of a Raven player is like being like, hey, this character is buggy, is not that good, but if you give us the absolute bare minimum, we will be happy. And it feels like in this patch they gave Raven players the bare minimum, and they're pretty happy. So go ahead and throw them in winners. Dragunov is relatively the same. He got some changes, but I think his character strength is still going to be about the same overall at the end of it. So we'll see. Kuma didn't get nerfed, just got some hitbox, hurtbox changes. I don't want to be one of those people that sees a player have a certain level of success and then go like, oh, that character is actually broken. You know what I mean? But I do think that the Bears are kind of crazy, and obviously they weren't this good at the start, right? They definitely have gotten their fair share of buffs, but what Rongchu is doing is kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. And Rongchu is a ridiculous player. He's really, really good, world class. There's a reason why he won TWT, and there's a reason why he's performing so well in these events. Just a tiny portion of it might have to do with the fact that the Bears might be better than people think right now. And if they didn't think that before, they might be thinking it now that they've seen him showcase his strength. I think Leo's relatively the same. Shaheen, I would say, got nerfed a little bit, but I think he's still pretty good. Even though I would call him a loser in this patch, I think he's still going to be fine for the most part. Steve is a big winner. I might even throw him in jackpot. I'm not going to lie. I think for him getting that change for his full crouch down forward 2 to be 16 frames instead of 18, I think that's pretty huge for him. Lionheart got more buffs, you're doing more chip damage and stuff, and the transitions, being able to like cancel out of it with back, I think that's also really, really big for him. Not quite to the level of Paul, but I do think that's a bigger win for him than some of these characters, because most of these characters were already, except for like Raven and Asuka, they were already better than him, and maybe Asuka was after that last patch. But yeah, I think for him that's pretty huge. Yoshimitsu, I'm damn near tempted to throw in jackpot, because he's another character that I think was already pretty damn strong, and he just got even stronger. I'm gonna just throw him in winners. For now, but Yoshimitsu did not need more buffs, but he got them anyway. Fang will throw in losers. He got some nerfs. Again, much like Dragunov, I think he's still gonna be fine. But he definitely did get nerfed. He might not be top 5 anymore, but who knows? They nerfed his power crush, they nerfed his damage. He got a couple of buffs in there as well, like the counter hit follow up on headbutt and things like that, and then like you know, the shifting clouds too, and some other things as well. But overall, he got toned down. Go ahead and throw Panda up here beside Kuma. Alyssa didn't get nerfed. Don't understand. Don't understand. Again, like one of those characters who's like, so Alyssa can say the same, but we're nerfing Hwoarang? Like, I don't know. Devil Jin is a loser in this patch for sure. He's been nerfed multiple times. He gets nerfed yet again. They nerfed his Demon Paw. They took out that really cool Oki setup that Kudon's had. I don't get it. I don't really get it. Lee, I'm not really sure where to put Lee. I kind of want to put him in loser, because here's the thing. They nerfed his power crush, right? They nerfed a lot of his like evasion and everything, but they buffed his heat burst to make his wild rising combo more consistent and reliable. But was that a worthwhile trade-off? I'm not really sure. I think for the moment, I'm gonna put him in loser. I could put him in relatively the same, but I just don't feel like that quite works either, because he definitely did get changed. He just had, he made a trade-off. He made a sacrifice. He sacrificed like some of his evasive properties and you know, some of his power crush or his while standing launcher to be more consistent. But was it worthwhile? I don't know. Zafina's relatively the same. She got a lot of changes in the last patch, and for that reason they didn't really touch her that much in this game, or I'm sorry, in this patch. And we have Victor, who I'm not really sure where to place, because in my opinion Victor won, because even though he did get nerfed, they made some really interesting changes to his character. He's not the same. I can't say that he didn't get nerfed, because he did, which would make you want to put him in losers. Victor's a weird one. Victor's a weird one, because for the moment we'll leave in losers. Let's talk about it, right? So they nerfed his power crush. It is now slower, it has less reach, it has less tracking, so it's a lot easier to play around, right? They also nerfed his up 1+2, you know, the expulsion. Before in heat you could get 3 of those, now you only get 2 before your heat runs out. Also, they nerfed the damage on that. They also nerfed his while running too. However, it also got a slight buff to where now you can transition into EI stance, and a lot of his EI stance moves got buffs and changes as well. So now he can convert certain things into combos and do more mix-ups and everything like that. And now he's actually more of a stance character, like I was hoping he would be. I was hoping he would be. And he's like way more interesting and cooler of a character than me. It's funny because I saw a couple of Victor players saying that he's boring now, and which to me, I thought the way you had to play him before was far more boring than what you can do with him at the moment. And he's probably the character I'm the most interested in exploring more this patch, and I haven't done that just yet, but I definitely will be checking out some Victor and trying him out and everything. And I don't know, he's kind of hard to place. Like I kind of want to say loser, because like the kind of like roll your face across the controller and just do dumb shit and win strategies have been nerfed, but I think long term Victor will still be good and is a much more interesting character now. I'm gonna throw him in losers for the moment because I just feel like it's the most accurate. But I do think that he will be just fine. Even though he got nerfed, I think the other buffs and changes that he got make him interesting and still pretty cool, which is more than I can say for a character like Hwadong, who got nerfed even though he was weaker than most of these characters and then didn't get anything to compensate for it. Victor, at the very least, is a character who like got changes, but he got buffs to compensate for the things that he lost. Brian is relatively the same. Like the no scaling on taunt is cool or whatever, but he's still relatively the same. Reyna is a loser this patch. I think she's going to be just fine, but she definitely did get nerfed. She still has the tracking on her throw out of Sentai and everything like that, but like her full crouch down forward 4 that gets nerfed, it's no longer crouching status. They nerfed her damage, they nerfed the hitbox and the tracking on forward 4-2. She's still gonna be good, I think, but definitely a loser of this patch. Eddie is also a loser of this patch. His back 3-3 and his while rising 2-3 are now launch punishable at -15. They nerfed his power crush, and yeah, overall this character was a mix-up machine. He still would be a mix-up machine, but he's a little bit more unsafe and a little bit more difficult to play because you're gonna have to take some more risks, which I mean tends to work out in Eddie players favor anyway. But yeah, and with that is the tier list. That to me, in my opinion, based off first impressions, are the biggest winners and losers of the patch. I think Paul is the biggest winner. I think Hwadong is the biggest loser. There's a reason why Speed Kicks is probably going to drop him, and there's a reason why all the Hwadong mains, the best ones in the world, are kind of like, damn, like why did they do that? Hell, even people who aren't Hwadong mains but are actual competent players and knowledgeable players are like, damn, like that was so unnecessary. Like why did they do that? Like there are some people who actually do feel bad for us out there, so I appreciate it. So the people who hate the character, well, hope you're happy, I guess, and I'm sure you are, because I've seen my comments and you niggas are animals. Yeah. Biggest winners and losers, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all this content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all for today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.